I froze, watching my sister's twins tear open shiny apple boxes, while Mom clapped like it was a royal ceremony. My heart sank. We all agreed. No gifts this year. I repeated those words in my head, trying not to let my face show the humiliation burning inside me. Before I tell you what happened next, hit subscribe, tap like, and share this story, because what came after will leave you speechless. Last Christmas, Mom said money was tight. Let's skip gifts this year, okay? Just family, food, and love. Everyone agreed. I nodded too, relieved honestly. I'd just moved into a small apartment, working 2 jobs to stay afloat. But when I walked into Mom's living room that morning, I felt like I'd stepped into a commercial for luxury living. Gold wrapping paper, designer bags. My sister Hannah grinning ear to ear as her kids screamed, "Apple Watch! Another one!" I looked at Mom confused. "Wait, I thought we said no gifts?" Mom smiled awkwardly. "Oh, honey, these are just small things. You know how kids are. Small things." Each small thing was worth more than my rent. Hannah turned to me, pretending innocence. "Oh, come on, Gina. You didn't bring anything? You could have at least made something homemade." Her words cut deeper than she realized. I had stayed up all night baking cookies, but suddenly they felt like trash next to all that glittering tech. Dad chuckled from the sofa. "Well, not everyone can afford Apple, huh?" The room laughed. My hands trembled as I held the cookie tin tighter, feeling every giggle stab through me like a knife. I swallowed hard and forced a smile. Yeah, not everyone. What they didn't know was that the real gift this year wasn't wrapped under their tree, because I had a secret, one I'd been keeping for months. And in less than 24 hours, that secret would turn their laughter into shock. I barely slept that night. Their laughter kept replaying in my head like a cruel echo. Every word, every smirk, every sideways glance. I wasn't angry about the gifts, I was angry about what they meant. To them, I'd always been the struggling one, the sister who never made it. But what they didn't know was that while they spent years showing off, I spent years building something in silence. After Dad refused to help me with college, I started freelancing online. It wasn't glamorous, just small gigs, late nights, and endless coffee. But I learned, adapted, and grew. Over time, I built my own online design brand. And just last month, one of my clients offered to buy it. The deal was worth more than Hannah's entire house. Yet I hadn't told a single soul. Not Mom, not Dad, definitely not Hannah. I wanted to keep it private until everything finalized. But now? Now, I wanted them to see me. The next morning, I walked downstairs for breakfast. Hannah was showing Mom photos of their trip to Hawaii, still laughing about how tight money was. Mom looked up at me. "Gina, we were just saying maybe next year you can stay with us instead of worrying about gifts." "You don't have to feel bad." "Feel bad?" My chest burned. I placed my coffee down carefully and said, "Don't worry, Mom. Next year will be different," Hannah smirked. "Sure, unless you win the lottery." I looked her straight in the eye. "Something like that." That afternoon, as I scrolled through my emails, I saw it. Contract approved. Funds will be released within 24 hours. My hands shook. It was real. The company was officially mine no longer, and I was about to become a millionaire. I leaned back, heart racing. After years of quiet work, endless nights, and humiliation, it was happening, and suddenly, I knew exactly how I wanted to spend my first day as a millionaire, at Mom's upcoming family dinner. The same dinner where Hannah planned to show off her new luxury SUV. This time, the laughter was going to sound different. The day of the family dinner came faster than I expected. I could still remember the sting of last Christmas, their laughter, the fake sympathy, the way they looked at me like I was less. But this time, as I looked at myself in the mirror, everything was different. The tired eyes were gone. The doubt, the fear, the guilt, all replaced by quiet confidence. I wasn't rich in ego. I was rich in peace. And soon, they'd see that. When I arrived at Mom's house, Hannah's car was parked right in front. a brand new luxury SUV with red ribbons still hanging off the door handles. She was standing outside, laughing loudly so everyone would notice her. "Oh, Gina, you made it," she said, hugging me like she hadn't mocked me a dozen times before. "Careful with my car. It's limited edition." I smiled politely. "Oh, don't worry. I'm sure I can afford the repair if I scratch it," she laughed, thinking I was joking. Inside, the table was set with golden cutlery and a massive roast in the center. Mom was in full hostess mode, bragging about Hannah's new business partnership and how her husband had really made it big. No one asked me a single question. It was the same pattern as always. Hannah talking, everyone praising her, and me blending into the background. But this time I didn't shrink. I watched, listened, waited. "Gina," Dad said finally, "how's that little design thing you used to do? Still taking small jobs?" I set my fork down. "Actually, Dad, I sold that little thing last week." "Oh, really?" Hannah asked, smirking. "Sold it for what, a few $100? I met her gaze. "A bit more than that. 7 figures, actually." The table went silent. Forks froze midair. Mom blinked rapidly. "Wait, 7 figures? You mean $1 million, I said calmly, sipping my water. "Well, technically, a bit over that." Hannah burst out laughing, thinking I was joking. "Oh, come on, Gina, you? A millionaire?" Her husband chuckled too. "She's probably talking about Monopoly money." I opened my purse and slid a small envelope across the table. "Here's something for you to laugh about." Inside was a receipt, a confirmation of the wire transfer from the acquisition company. Mom picked it up first. Her hands trembled as she read it aloud, her voice cracking. $1,250,000. The color drained from Hannah's face. You're serious?" I nodded. Dead serious. The silence that followed was heavy, almost satisfying. All those years of being mocked, pitied, and underestimated suddenly reversed in one moment. But I didn't gloat. I didn't rub it in. I simply smiled and said, "I guess all those nights working alone finally paid off." Mom tried to recover, forcing a shaky smile. "Oh, honey, we're so proud of you." "Really?" I said, tilting my head. "Because a few months ago you said I should give up and get a real job." Hannah looked down, red-faced. "We were just worried about you." "Right," I said softly. "Worried enough to laugh when I brought cookies instead of Apple Watches?" The tension in the room was unbearable. Dad cleared his throat. "Well, money isn't everything, you know," I smiled faintly. "No, it's not. But respect is. And that's one thing you never gave me." I stood up, grabbed my coat, and walked toward the door. "Enjoy dinner. I have somewhere else to be." As I stepped outside, I heard Hannah whisper, "She really did it?" Mom replied quietly, "She's richer than all of us combined." And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel invisible. I felt free, but what I didn't know was that the story wasn't over yet. Because Hannah wasn't done with me. Not even close. 2 days later, I woke up to my phone buzzing nonstop. Missed calls, texts, and one notification that made my stomach drop. Family group chat. 47 new messages. I opened it, and there it was. My name, my story, and Hannah's twisted version of the truth. She didn't really earn that money, she'd written. It was luck. Some random buyer just threw cash at her. She's pretending she's successful, Mom had replied with a nervous emoji. Dad had sent a thumbs up, like he was afraid to pick a side. And a few cousins had chimed in with the usual judgment. I knew she'd brag eventually. I sat on my bed, shaking my head. They couldn't let me have one moment of peace, one victory. I had worked for years in silence, never asking for help, never begging for approval, and now they were trying to tear it down. I texted Hannah directly. "You could have just been happy for me." She replied instantly. "Don't act innocent. Gina, you embarrassed Mom and Dad. They feel small because of how you revealed it." I stared at her message for a long moment before replying. I didn't make them feel small. Their behavior did. No response. Just silence. But a week later, I found out why. Mom called, her voice oddly cheerful. Honey, we're having a little neighborhood get-together this weekend. Hannah's hosting. You should come, like, it'll be good to clear the air. I knew that tone. It wasn't an invitation. It was a setup. Still, I said yes. Because something inside me wanted closure. The kind that came from truth, not revenge. When I arrived, everyone was already there. Neighbors, family friends, even Mom's bridge club. The room buzzed with chatter, champagne, and fake smiles. Hannah stood in the center, her perfect curls shining under the lights. "Gina," she said sweetly. "So glad you could make it. Everyone's been asking about your big success." I could hear the sarcasm dripping from her voice. I forced a smile. "Sure, happy to share it." Then she clinked her glass. "Everyone, I want to toast to my sister Gina, the millionaire designer." People clapped awkwardly. I could tell half of them didn't believe it. Then Hannah added, loud enough for everyone to hear, "It's so inspiring, really. Especially since she didn't even finish college." A few chuckles, whispers, a flash of humiliation hit my chest. But this time, I didn't flinch. I took a deep breath and smiled. "You're right, Hannah. I didn't finish college. But funny enough, one of the companies that just partnered with my new agency hires graduates from the same school you dropped out of." The room went silent. Someone coughed. Mom's wine glass trembled. Then I continued, my voice steady. "Actually, I came tonight to announce something. I just opened my own nonprofit, a scholarship fund for women who can't afford college. The first event will be next week. And guess who's sponsoring it?" I paused. "Apple," gasps, literal gasps. Even Hannah's jaw dropped. Her husband muttered, "Wait. Like the Apple?" "Yep," I said. "The same company whose watches your kids were unwrapping last Christmas." The silence that followed was electric. Every single person in that room, including Mom and Dad, looked at me like they were seeing me for the first time. And for once, I didn't feel like the underdog in my own story. I felt like the author, but as I was leaving, Hannah grabbed my arm. Her voice shook with anger. "You think this makes you better than me?" I looked her dead in the eye. "No, Hannah. It just proves I was never beneath you." I walked out that door, the sound of my heels echoing through her fancy living room, each step louder than their laughter used to be. But as I reached my car, I saw Hannah standing by the window, staring at me with something darker than jealousy, something that looked a lot like revenge. The next morning, my phone rang again, this time from my accountant. His voice was tense. "Gina, I just got an alert. Someone tried to access your business account last night. Multiple failed login attempts from your hometown." My chest went cold. "You're kidding." "No, and it looks deliberate. Someone knew part of your credentials. I didn't have to guess who. There was only one person bitter enough and close enough to try something like that." For a moment, I felt the old anger rise up again. The same fury that used to choke me when they mocked me. But this time I didn't let it consume me. Instead, I smiled. Because unlike before, I wasn't powerless anymore. I went straight to the bank, updated every password, froze unnecessary accounts, and met my lawyer that afternoon. Within an hour, every piece of my business was protected tighter than a vault. Then, I posted one single message on social media. Nothing loud, nothing flashy. Just a photo of me in my new office with the caption, "Built from scratch." Protected by experience. Some lessons you only learn the hard way. The post blew up. Clients, designers, even influencers began sharing it. Within days, my brand page doubled in followers. The media reached out, calling me the silent builder. The woman who went from being mocked by her family to running one of the fastest-growing creative agencies in the state. That night, Mom called. She sounded softer than I'd ever heard her. "Honey," she said quietly, "we saw your article. I didn't realize how much you went through. I'm sorry." For a moment, I wanted to let my anger go. "Thanks, Mom," I said. "I'm not mad anymore. I just needed you all to see me. Really see me," she sighed. "We do now, sweetheart. We really do." But Hannah never called. Not once. I didn't expect her to. Some people would rather drown in denial than admit they were wrong. Months later, I hosted my scholarship event. Hundreds of young women attended, dreamers, fighters, underdogs, just like I once was. As I stood on stage looking out at their faces, I realized something powerful. The best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's proving yourself right. I started my story being laughed at for bringing cookies instead of Apple Watches. Now, I was partnering with Apple to change lives. That full circle moment hit me deep. And as the crowd clapped, I whispered to myself, "You did it. Gina, you finally did it." Because in the end, success doesn't sound like applause or money. It sounds like peace. And that's one thing no one can ever take away.